Hey everyone, good afternoon. I'm meteorologist Alyssa alongside meteorologist and executive weather producer Terry Eliasen, here to talk about some winter weather.
Yeah, so like we got just this much snow coming, which I guess is any snow is news at this point in the season, and yet another shot of cold coming up. But today, I feel like today is the first day since I can remember that you step outside and you're not immediately just like, what am I doing here? Like, it's not bad.
Yes, like absolutely bitterly cold.
Yes, the winds have calmed down finally a little bit today, helps so much. But we do have a little bit. There's a who would know? There's a major winter storm right now barreling through the parts of the southern United States. And we're going to catch just a little bit of it tomorrow morning. So.
Yeah, we're getting maybe lucky or unlucky, depending on how you want to look at it, that this low pressure is going a little bit far south. So we get a bit of snow, but not a ton.
That's it. And then Sunday's looking decent, and next week yet another cold shot. But it's been, as we just mentioned, very cold, and we're not really after the last couple winters. It's actually not. Climatologically speaking, it's not really that cold, but we just haven't had like winters like this recently.
That's right. Even just in the months past, so many of those graphics have looked on the red side instead of in the blue, but we're a week in the blue now, in the colder.
Yeah, I mean, and coming from, so December was below average, and so far January is now below average, and the average temperature in Boston is 33.9, which doesn't mean much, but it's the coldest such stretch since 2017, 2018. So this is the coldest start to meteorological winter we've had in 8 years. So that's something. And 5 degrees colder than it was last year in the same stretch. So if you're thinking like, this seems a little odd to me, this cold, well, we just haven't had it recently.
Yeah.
But of course, there's been no snow here to go along with that. Look at the country, though.
I mean, yeah, plenty of snow has been happening. It just hasn't been happening here.
Yeah, I mean, first we had that storm last week, and now the current storm that started in Dallas and is going through parts of the south. But if you look across the country, their snow cover is pretty much blanketing almost everywhere except for the deep south. But zoom in on good old-fashioned New England, and there's just nothing to see.
Just a lack of snow cover, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty
almost surprising that we had something to wake up to on Christmas morning.
We kind of, thinking back, you're right, kind of got lucky there.
Yeah.
Because it's been pretty sparse.
Of all the days that it could have been.
I know. It's just the mountains right now that have the snow, and again, one of the few parts of the country that really just has been missing out. So. Boston right now, we've had 5.7 so far this season, which is 8 inches below where we normally are, and pretty close to where we were last year, which was a relatively snowless winter.
And we're lucky to get up to that 5.7 because with the last time we got that snow, we had an extra boost from the lake effect snow that helped us out with the land system. So now to even get us to 5.7, almost didn't even make that cut.
And a lot of, and that's Boston, so a lot of places north and west of town, I know because I live there, don't even have that much. The typical snow belt up area, Middlesex, northern Worcester County, southern New Hampshire, a lot of those towns don't even have 5.7 inches, which is very unusual heading towards mid-January. And Worcester's kind of the same story. They've got a little more snow than Boston, but they're even more below average.
Yeah, everything, no matter which way, it's all below average anyways. Even those of us that do have a little bit of that snow on the season.
Yeah, I mean, Worcester by now typically has almost 2 feet of snow, and they're obviously, again, well below that. And we've shown the stat many times on the air, but it's now been almost 3 years. Just look at that bottom number, 1,050 days since we had a 6-inch or more, 6-inch or greater snowstorm in Boston. So, you want, talking about like a real legit snowstorm in Boston, 3 years almost and counting.
Since I've moved here, I have not had to move my car for many roadways.
Crazy.
I haven't, because I remember coming here, everyone said, oh, well, when that big snowstorm rolls around, you're going to have to get that car moved out of the way. Like, everyone was giving me the rundown on what to do in the winter weather here as far as your car goes and the travel situation, and I have not had to deal with that.
Hasn't happened.
Unrelated, I did get I got close to 8 inches of snowfall when I was back in Indy last week, and they've got some more snow on the way too, but again, this is just everyone but us.
Everybody but us.
Everyone but us.
And maybe that's a good thing. I'm sure there's plenty of people that are saying, keep it out there.
Yeah.
But I know there are a lot of snow lovers around here in New England that are kind of wishing for it. But look at the storm, right? This is the current radar. Like, you would, if you didn't know any better, if we didn't know any better, you would look at that and be like, oh boy, this is going to be a rough weekend. I mean, typically a storm in that part of the country looking like this is almost inevitably ends up coming up the coast, coming up into New England. But it's just not the case. This one's going to just basically zip east. and keep all its snow down in like Nashville area into the Carolinas, and we're just going to get just a little taste. But look at these warnings. Like,
we've got a lot of winter storm warnings, everything in pink there, winter weather advisories, and it pretty much cuts off right as you get into New England.
Yeah, nothing up this way. But again, very unusual. From Dallas to Little Rock to Nashville to Raleigh, everybody. Winter storm warnings, and this is, just a little bit farther south than the one last week. And again, here, just nothing to speak of. And they've already, so this is additional snowfall accumulation. So they've already had, a lot of places have already had 3 to 6 inches down there. They're looking at another 3 to 6 in parts of Ohio Valley, parts of Tennessee, Carolinas, so.
Right, because as you just showed the snow cover earlier, so most of these places are already snow covered, and this is going to be that extra snowfall.
In addition, so getting it again down south, like you said, in another one for the state of Indiana.
It was fun. I finally got to shovel something because I was excited when I moved here. I was going to get a ton of snow, and I just haven't.
It'll come. Our time will come.
I think so.
We are not. Snow is not. It will happen. It will happen. So here, timeline for tomorrow morning.
That helps us out. We get a little bit of snow. It starts off a little light in the morning, so by 5 a.m. we could see some of the flurries get going. I think the closer we get to the noon, the lunch hour, we'll see more of that organize a bit more, become more widespread. But still, we're not going to see this fall very heavily. Now notice as towards the evening, some of that snow sticks around a little bit. So we were thinking earlier. Yes. Some higher totals locally. Yeah,
that last frame is kind of interesting. It's almost like there's like a little, as we would call it, like inverted trough, kind of like slipping down the coastline. So if that happens, there absolutely could be a little bit more than an inch somewhere. Could be in northeastern Mass is one area where I was thinking, or if perhaps right along the coast. So other than just saying blanket coating to an inch, we've added that, perhaps up to 2 inches somewhere. I mean, I know we're talking about 1 more inch, but when you get close to 2 inches, you're kind of like on the edge of needing to plow, if it's on the road. So just something to be aware of tomorrow morning, that we can't completely rule out some isolated areas where it's stacking up just a little more than, an inch.
That's right.
Yeah. So maybe plow drivers somewhere may get a shot at something. But after that, after tomorrow, it's like nada. And I mean, next weekend, who knows? It's just so far out, there could be something. But this next week is going to be very quiet. So whatever falls tomorrow, that's about it for snow for the next 7 days. Again,
it's going to be so dry and quiet.
So quiet. And as we had mentioned earlier, another shot of cold. Sound like a broken record, but here comes another sort of pocket of cold down from Canada. Coldest days next week looks like maybe Wednesday, Thursday.
And then as we get into that next weekend, because you showed at the very end of that, we could have some precipitation chances, and we get a little bit warmer there to align with that in the 40s.
Yeah, so if we had to say right now, and again, it's more than a week out, that next storm potential for next weekend doesn't necessarily look like an all snow event. It may, of course, at this stage, who knows, but it does look like after that dip in temperatures midweek, we do start to warm up again by next weekend. And so here's an interesting stat. I saw Eric Fisher and Dave Epstein tweeting about this. So you look at this is the Climate Prediction Center's 8 to 14 day temperature outlook, and there's not a speck on there of above average. It's all either like average or below. And this has been going on for 4 straight days, and apparently in an entire year, we only average 3 days where there's no above average.
Wow.
So I don't know if that made any sense to everybody out there, but it's very unusual. Let's put it this way. It's very unusual, especially in this day and age with, kind of warming temperatures, to see 4 straight days without any above average temperatures anywhere in the country for the next 2 weeks.
Very prolonged periods here that we could see below average temperatures, which we saw all week here just locally, even going 10 to 15 degrees below normal. So that is an interesting stat.
Still more cold to come, but I will say that if I were to even go farther than that, I think as we get closer to February, we may be in for a warm-up, but that's a story for another day anyways.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, for now, though, it's been relatively quiet here. I think in the short term, the best thing we have to look forward to is that little bit of snow coming up tomorrow morning. And Terry has written up a great blog on this. You can also check out on our website for more on wbz-tv. But for now, that's a wrap for us.
That's
a quiet little weather week coming up after tomorrow's early snow.
Yeah, stay tuned to Alyssa this weekend for any updates on that snow tomorrow morning. But again, coating to an inch, maybe 2. Drive safe if you're going out.